Well, that's certainly not how you end a college football season. Oklahoma falls 37-17 at LSU. We're down here on the field at Tiger Stadium, wrapping this thing up. This thing being a 20-point loss and the regular season. Sooners finished the year at 6-6 after what Brent Venables described as not a very good loss, not a very clean loss.
Yeah, he basically said it looked like three different teams playing at times, speaking about offense, defense, special teams. And man, John, we talked all week, were they going to be able to roll that momentum from Alabama, stuff like that? The offense actually came out and played okay in the first half. At times, you got a big 50-yard chunk play from J.J. Hester. The defense had a scoop and score, but it seemed like, John, every time Oklahoma found any modicum of momentum in the first half, they threw it away, whether it be the fact that you allow a big, chunk play after your scoop and score, whether it be the fact when you knock Garrett Nussmeier out of the game. For a couple of drives, you let A.J. Swan off easy by allowing a Caden Durham 50-yard run, so he didn't have to do anything on that drive. You finally go down, you score, you get back up, you let a 100-yard kickoff return back, and then the real dagger, I felt like at the end of the half, Oklahoma ties it up 17-17. You're thinking, okay, they can go into the locker room, regroup, get the ball out in the second half. LSU marches 66 yards in 45 seconds and ends with a 45-yard touchdown right on Eli Bowen's head. He allowed two 40-plus yarders. And from there, once Oklahoma couldn't score out of the half, LSU did. That was it in Death Valley.
That's a great recap of a game that ultimately didn't matter that much. The difference between a 7-5 record, which guarantees you a winning record in 2024, sure. If you're Oklahoma, I don't think you're jumping up and down about a winning record. Instead, it's a 6-6 record. Now you go into the bowl game where you were 2 years ago with the possibility of a bowl loss and another losing record. Again, these things may not matter. They may be just cosmetics, but they matter to a lot of people, and I think they matter to Brent Venables. I don't think he wants to record another losing season. I asked him a couple of questions in the press conference. One, how was your week of practice? Did you see this coming? You know, it was a little bit uneven. Did you handle this success well? After the Alabama game, he says that's one of the big keys to having success is to be able to handle success well, handle it like a champion, come back the next week and have success. Oklahoma did not handle it well. He said they practiced great. He said, I wish we could tell you that we had a crappy practice, but we can't.
Yeah, and that was a huge talking point. I know this feels like a decade ago, all the way at SEC Media Days, not Big 12 Media Days, one more time just for the last season. As Brent Venables talked about, not being able to handle that Texas success, all that stuff, obviously didn't get it today. And I think the concerning part from today it was the defense. The group that had been steady all year kind of got shredded. And so now it ushers in an area Brent Venables had talked about they need to get better heading into 2025. Is that secondary going to have probably a big chance, as you would expect? Billy Bowman probably ups out of the bowl game. Haven't heard anything. You didn't announce anything post-game. You'd expect that that's a spot for Robert Sirianni's Peyton Bowen to continue to roll on, Eli Bowen, that stuff. And this becomes all about three things now, Who. One, Brent Venables, to your question, answered that he's going to hire an offensive coordinator the next couple of days. That's the first big thing.
A few days or so.
Then you roll that into signing day, and then the transfer portal. The transfer portal opens December 9th, the Monday after conference championships, and that's something Venables said they've been planning for. He's not going to be surprised by anything. He said there might be surprises, but you have to plan for the surprises so you're not surprised. It was weird math there. Moral of the story, there's going to be a lot of portal happenings in Norman, just as there is everywhere across college football, and that's going to kind of be the next thing Oklahoma has to tackle before you even worry about the fact that, the bowl practice and get better and all that stuff.
Yep. Yeah, and that was the crux of the question was you've been focused on Alabama and Missouri and LSU, week by week by week, you've been focused on that week's opponent. Now that it's over, give me a big picture assessment. And I thought he did. I thought he gave a very fair, very even poignant sometime, big picture assessment on where they've got to go as a program.
Yeah, and so it's all going to start next 48 hours. I would expect Oklahoma names their offensive coordinator, and that's going to filter off a ton of stuff. I talked with Jackson Arnold after the game, and one of his big things, I asked him, what does the next week look like for you and the decision you have to make? And he basically said, step away, recoup for a little bit, unplug, because this week Oklahoma can't practice out there. The bowl practices will start after conference championship week, and he basically said, I'll meet the new offensive coordinator, and then we'll let the chips fall where they may. He didn't commit to staying at Oklahoma. He didn't commit to entering the portal. He even went on in another answer to kind of say, there's no inherent reason to leave Oklahoma. And it didn't feel like I'm staying, but it also felt like Oklahoma's great, Norman's great, I'm happy. It didn't feel like this, I just got to get out of Dodge. It's a foregone conclusion. So that'll be a big thing. Does the new OC even want Jackson Arnold? What does that all look like? That's going to kind of dominate the next week.
Slightly smaller picture situation with Danny Stutzman. Is he going to play in the bowl game? He didn't commit to that. He did say that he has no regrets about his senior season, not going to the NFL, about playing one more year at OU, playing with his buddies, playing with his friends, playing with his teammates, playing for this coaching staff. He loves his coaching staff. He's very excited about the defense was better. The defense was a lot better, and Brent didn't hide the fact that over the last decade, he said, where this defense was. You let your defense go for the past decade, and he's basically saying we had to come in as a staff and fix it up. Here they are, year 3. The defense was really good. Gave up 395 yards and 37 points tonight. It was the second most yards that they've given up all season. If you don't include the kickoff return, which add that hidden yardage, that's almost 500 yards, which you can't hang on the defense, I know, but still. That's a big picture again. We saw a lot of improvement from the defense. Maybe a little bit of improvement from the pass secondary, but the offense took about 20 steps backwards.
Well,
they got a lot of work to do in the portal, in recruiting, with the OC. They've just got a ton of work to do.
Yeah, I think tonight specifically, this was, we've been waiting, and this conversation kind of went away a little bit with the Alabama one. We've been waiting for the game where the defense finally breaks, where they can't just withstand the turnovers and all that stuff. And it didn't start that way. And that end zone right over there, Grayson Halton stripped it from Nussmeier. R. Mason Thomas picks it up, scoop and score. You're thinking, oh my gosh, here they go again. Totally flip things around. The Boo Birds were out for Brian Kelly, just like we said. They wanted to boo somebody. They booed everybody. Everybody got boos. And then eventually it was just the secondary. They were not good enough.
Comes out and hits the lightning bolt of a 50-yard pass, and you're thinking, okay, defensive touchdown, 50-yard pass. All these things are coming together for Oklahoma. No, it was all kind of what would you call it? Fool's gold?
Yeah, absolutely. Just like the Alabama one was probably fool's gold. It looked like in hindsight, yes, the offensive line's taken steps forward, but the big question for that other game was that a moment in time, or was that the moment that it's a turning point? For this season, at least, it was just a moment in time, and that's okay. You saw the offensive line I didn't think was awful tonight. They gave up the sacks once they got down by 17 points. They were having to throw the ball, but they also weren't moving guys off the line of scrimmage like they did a week ago against Alabama, so that was kind of expected to come back down to earth. Joe John Finley, I thought, was aggressively dull in his game plan. It was like, just run back the same crap against Alabama. The shovel passes, LSU was ready for it. The double pass, LSU was ready for it, and produced one of the great moments in Oklahoma football history of Bauer Sharp. I described it in the live blog as playing jackpot. He got in the time machine, went back to his middle school days, just said, 3,000, go for it. That was kind of impressive. So all that being said, it wasn't you got the night game in Death Valley. There were not 100,000 people here. The announced attendance was a little over 90. It looked more 99. Like 80.
99 is what it
was that the announced?
99, 300.
I'll tell you right now, there were not 99,000 people here. They were loud when they were prompted to, but this was not an insurmountable atmosphere. Right. Auburn was louder, I thought. It was just one of those things that LSU was a lot better than Oklahoma, and Oklahoma finishes 2-6.
2-6.
2-6.
Worst conference record since 1931.
Kind of incredible. They didn't. In 36, they only won one game. So
1-2 though.
Yeah, that's
so
fair.
1-2 is not as bad as 2-6.
It was all bad. One of those. We're going back to the 30s. Hey, at least it wasn't 98. That's an improvement. Take that to the bank, OU fans.
Not going to say it.
Not going to say it?
Not going to say it.
Not going to say it?
It wasn't the John Blake era. There you go. That's all I got to say.
It was not.
Hey, for more on the Jackson Arnold story, a little bit about the Danny Stutzman story, you're going to want to check out our website, Oklahoma Sooners on SI.com. That's where you're going to find all of our post-game as well, post-game interviews. Brent Venables is up there. We got a ton of player interviews, so watch out for that. Carson was down here on the field tonight shooting highlights. He had a great time. You can tell he's very enthusiastic about his new gig, and we're glad to have him. All that stuff, Oklahoma Sooners on SI.com is where you'll find it. It's been a weird year. I don't know what else to say. It's been a weird year.
Real quick, we've been talking about this a lot off camera, off air, stuff like this. This was the trip I was most excited for. I thought it was awesome. Tiger Stadium is the most impressive venue I've ever stepped foot in. Mike the Tiger pregame, awesome. The LSU band, neck, awesome. Even though it wasn't firing at 100% as if these two teams were going to a college football playoff. This was not like this big treacherous situation where OU fans were going to get peed on, like some of the stories back from 03 New Orleans, stuff like that. Next time Oklahoma rolls through, if you're watching this, you like college football,
be here.
It's a bucket list. It was pretty awesome.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Schedule rotates next year. LSU's going to come to Norman. You guys can pay them the same respects that they paid OU fans coming here. So we'll leave it at that. Check out the YouTube channel, John Hoover Media, for all the videos, as well as our website. Check out the little watch files that we've done, plus all the post-game coverage. We'll have more throughout the week, as well as we'll be on top of, believe me, on top of the offensive coordinator story when that breaks next Wednesday, National Signing Day. Week after that, portal season opens, huh? So Oklahoma Sooners on SI is where you're going to want to keep it. For Ryan Chapman, I'm John Hoover. See you guys.